Greetings, beautiful people. Welcome back to Uncle Lou's Kitchen. Folks, we've got a masterclass today. I'm here with
Becky from Indigo's Vegan Bakery.
Yes, Becky from Indigo's Vegan Bakery. This is a professional bakery and you're in for a serious treat today. We are making some red velvet cupcakes. Now you're going to be learning this as if you're a complete beginner to baking. If you're new to baking or if you've been baking before, you'll always learn something here. And these are just amazing. So, Becky, let's get cooking.
Let's get cooking.
Okay folks, so this recipe comes in 3 stages. We've got the muffins themselves, the cupcakes, the icing and the filling.
So here we have 220 grams of plain flour, 200 grams of plain granulated white sugar, 25 grams of cocoa powder, you want to use the natural type here, 30 grams of beetroot powder here. If you don't have beetroot powder, you can use a few drops of red food colouring, half a tablespoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt, 240 millilitres of soya milk, 90 millilitres of vegetable oil and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And here we have a flax egg, which is just a tablespoon of flaxseed and 3 tablespoons of hot water.
Perfect.
So this, for our buttercream, we want a 50-50 ratio of a soft spread and a harder vegan butter like plant block.
So we've actually got here, so this is the spreadable type that you will find in the box. So it's 100 grams of this, yeah?
Yeah, 100 grams of that.
And this is the more solid type. So you'll actually find these generally wrapped and you can see it's still solid at room temperature. So that's the one you want. So you're gonna do a mix of the two.
Yep. And then 400 grams of icing sugar here. And here for our filling, we have 120 grams of dairy-free white chocolate and 3 tablespoons of soy milk.
Perfect.
We're going to start off by mixing all the dry ingredients together. I'm just going to pop them all in this big bowl here. So I'm going to start with the flour. Next I'm going to pop the sugar in, baking powder and salt, cocoa powder.
What's the reason you're adding the cocoa powder?
So I'm adding the cocoa powder because it will make a reaction with the baking powder and the beetroot powder to give the nice dark red colour that you get in the red velvet cupcakes. So they do need a little bit of cocoa powder in them. Next I'm going to add the beetroot powder, but before I do that I'm going to break it up a little bit just with my fingers. It has a tendency to form lumps kind of, so I'm just going to like crumble it between my fingers there. It'll just make mixing the cake batter a bit easier. Like you can find it in different health food stores have it sometimes. You can buy it online as well. You can buy it on Amazon and stuff like that as well, to be honest. And it's quite cheap as well because people use it as a food supplement as far as I know. So yeah, not too hard to find.
Okay.
So I'm going to pop that in now. That's nice and crumbled up, so in that goes. So that's all my dry ingredients. I'm just going to give them a little mix around with my spoon. I'm going to combine all my wet ingredients first before I add them in, just to make sure they're all mixed around and combined. I usually just make a little well in the middle. Everything will get mixed in easier. Now we are going to go into the wet ingredients. I'm just going to combine all these into this jug and give it a mix before I add it in. So I'm just going to pour the oil and the vanilla extract in on top of the milk. Then I'm just popping the flax egg in, which has had a lot of time to go nice and loopy.
How long do you normally leave it in for?
With the flax egg, I would leave it for like at least 5 minutes before using it, and I would always put hot water, like even freshly boiled water in on top of it. It just helps it go to the consistency that you want quicker. So now that they're all combined, I'm just going to give them a little whisk with the fork. Yeah, that looks good to me. So now I'm going to add the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. So literally just pouring it in. So, and that's just the bottom there of the flax seeds going in. Now I'm going to start mixing it. I'm doing it by hand, but you can do it with an electric mixer if you like. It's totally up to you. The goal here is we want everything to be nicely combined. You don't have to keep mixing it and mixing it and mixing it because you don't want the cupcakes to be chewy. If you mix it too much, it can make the gluten in the flour like basically the strands develop too much and they can be a bit chewy, and you kind of want to avoid that. You don't want them. You want them to kind of be nice and fluffy like.
So how would you know that you haven't overdone it?
You want everything to be nice and smooth and kind of, it doesn't matter if there's a few lumps in it. Like, I definitely wouldn't recommend like mixing until there's no lumps. I would mix until everything is combined evenly and the batter looks nice and smooth.
Yeah, like a smoothie, yeah.
Basically like that, yeah, like a smoothie. And it doesn't matter if there's a few little lumps in it. Like, obviously you don't want any big lumps, but if there's a few little lumps in it, it's fine. The next bit is we want to put the batter into the little muffin cases. I put my little liners in this earlier just so they were ready to go. So, because it's red velvet, I'm like, yeah,
nice.
We will use red. We will use red for red velvet. So, there's a few ways you can do this. You can literally use a tablespoon to just spoon the batter into each one. I use an ice cream scoop because it's just handier for me for like measuring out the right amount of batter. You can kind of portion it out, kind of flip it out. Yeah, exactly. So before I do it, I always just wet it under the tap because the batter's less likely to stick to it then. So yeah, now we have our ice cream scoop ready to go. So in each one of these liners, I'm going to put like a scoop of batter pretty much. So I'm going to scoop it and fill it up to the top and just portion it out into each one.
About 2.5, 3 tablespoons, isn't it?
Yeah. I think probably about 3 tablespoons. Yeah, probably about 3. And like, if you don't have an ice cream scoop, just use a tablespoon. It is no problem.
So Becky, what got you interested in this? Like, how did you start off?
Well, so basically, like, I've been baking my whole life. Everyone in my family, like, has always baked. My granddad is 89 in 2 weeks and he still bakes his own bread. So growing up, my mum, they were just always baking and I was kind of interested in it, just seeing what they were doing. So when I was small, they taught me how to make things like scones or biscuits or stuff like that. I feel like it was nearly a natural progression where I was like, okay, I need to like learn about vegan baking. I need to learn like what am I going to use instead of eggs? Like what am I going to do?
Now you got a business.
And now I have a business, yeah. It all kind of lead up to this point, like, which is, wow, cool to think of, you know?
That's really cool.
Yeah. I do mail order treats as well, which can be posted anywhere in Ireland. So if you're not in the area, don't worry, because they can be posted all over Ireland. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So these guys are ready to go in the oven. I'm going to pop them in the oven now.
The oven's been preheated, yeah?
The oven has been preheated. I have the oven at 160 degrees Celsius. You don't need a very hot oven for doing cupcakes because what will happen is they will dome and they will crack if the oven's too hot. So you're totally fine having it at 160 because you just want to get them to rise nicely. You don't want them to dome and crack. And we want them in the oven for 20 to 22 minutes.
Perfect.
Eventually.
Okay, so 23 minutes have passed. How did you know to go beyond the 20-minute point?
So when I checked on them at 20 minutes, basically the top of them was still wet. So it was still a little bit wet. So I was kind of like, they need to be dry on the top. So now they're dry on the top and they did crack a little bit, but look, it's okay because we're actually going to, when they've cooled a bit, we're going to core the middle parts out so we can fill them. And they're going to be getting the frosting on the top anyway, so
perfect.
I'm going to take them out of this tray now so they can cool a bit quicker. And I'm just going to put them on this cooling rack here. So they'll just cool a bit quicker if you have a cooling rack to put them on. Even if you don't have a cooling rack, you can take them out and just put them on a plate or on a chopping board or anything like that. It's just so they're not staying in the hot tin. They will cool quicker then.
How long are you letting them cool for?
I would probably give them at least 20 minutes because when we go to core them out for the filling, they'll crumble. So we want them to be
stiff.
Kind of cool, kind of a bit more firm. So we just leave them there for a bit before we do anything with them. And
lovely.
Yeah. Cool. It's been about 15 minutes since these have come out of the oven, so they are still a little bit warm, but we're going to make the filling now to go into the middle, and by the time that's made, they'll be cool enough to core. They don't have to be like really, really cold, just kind of room temperature. So we're going to make the filling now. So for the filling, we're going to make a ganache, and basically what that is it's just like it's making the chocolate softer, so it doesn't go hard once it sets in the middle of the cupcake. So the way I make this ganache is by just melting the white chocolate and stirring some soy milk in with it. I'm just going to melt these in the microwave. Okay. As long as you're careful, it's okay to melt chocolate in the microwave, just little bits at a time.
Okay, so that was in there for 40 seconds. It still wasn't melted. We put it in for an extra 20.
Yeah, so that now it's good. Like there's still full bits in it, but as you can see, once you start stirring it, they melt into it. So it's fine. That looks good to me.
It looks fine.
Yeah, that looks pretty smooth. So now is the time where I'm going to pop the soy milk into it. Don't panic, because it kind of looks a bit weird at first, but then once you keep mixing it to combine everything, like it'll be fine, but it'll look kind of lumpy and weird at first, but you just have to keep mixing it until it's smooth. It kind of changes color a bit as well, which is totally fine. As it cools, it will go back to that nice color that it was before I added the milk in. So that looks pretty even to me now. That's ready. I'm going to core them out. I like to use this apple core little thingy bob.
Now, with just one thing we mentioned, the little white specks there, don't worry about those because they're going to be covered up.
Oh yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, like if you get little white specks in them, like you're either going to be coring them out or covering them with your frosting. So don't worry, like it's totally fine. So if you don't have one of these, you can improvise using various things. You can even use a spoon. It won't be as neat, but it'll do the job. So it is literally just a matter of kind of twisting it and pushing down a little bit, and then when you pull it back up, you can see.
Oh, so you're not going all the way with it?
No, you don't want to go all the way, because say you're eating this cupcake and you take it out of the wrapper, if you go all the way down, the filling could come out the bottom. So you want like a little bit in the bottom just to kind of keep it all in. So then I just popped a little bit of cake out into the bowl there. You can eat that later, whatever you want, like. So you just keep doing that, basically.
So they've been cored, basically. We've taken the centre bits out. As you can see, it's only about that thick, like at the most, that kind of size. Oh.
Yeah, you don't want to take too much out. So now I have the white chocolate ganache from earlier. I find
so nice.
Oh yeah, they go so well together. Like I find with this, usually you need like kind of 2 teaspoons per cupcake. So you don't want it to be right at the very, very top, but you want it to be coming near enough to the top because it's lovely. It's a good filling, and you want to have like a nice amount of it in each cupcake.
Okay, so these are all done now, as you can see.
Yeah.
So we're not putting the lids back on because we've eaten them all.
Yeah, we've kind of eaten them all. So yeah.
All right, there's one thing we forgot to mention for the butter mix. We're going to be using some vanilla paste.
Yep, we need a little bit of vanilla. This is vanilla extract, but you can use vanilla paste, you can use vanilla essence, whatever you have.
Same quantity?
Yeah. So you want a teaspoon of it. Okay. So you can see with this, there's like this is
proper
like
specks.
Properly like full of vanilla.
That's beautiful.
Because the flavour of it is just, yeah, oh, so good. Yeah, we got it. So now, if you don't have a stand mixer, don't worry. You can use a hand mixer, or you can cream the butter by hand.
Like
but yeah, exactly. You can use a hand mixer either, but I have a stand mixer, so I just use that. So I'm going to put this on low. So when you're doing this, if the butter gets stuck to the blade, you can just pop a tiny bit of icing sugar in, and that will help it kind of unstick off the blade. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to add all of my icing sugar in, and I'm going to put it on the mixer on very low until it's kind of mixed in a bit. That's just so it doesn't go everywhere, basically. So once it has this kind of like lumpy consistency, you can crank up the volume because the icing sugar is kind of incorporated a bit, so it won't go everywhere now. So you can crank up the volume and get that buttercream nice and fluffy. Alright, so that looks good to me.
Yeah, it's really creamy.
It's really creamy. It's kind of gotten a bit lighter in texture, and it's gone nice and pale in colour. So that's how you know it's done. Yeah, we're gonna decorate now.
So if you don't have one of these, what would you recommend?
If you don't have a piping bag, you can use literally, you know, like those plastic bags that you can put like your sandwiches in or whatever. Yeah, they're like sandwich bags. You can literally use one of them, fill it, cut the corner off it. You can use it. It's no bother. How to fill a piping bag? I always say to people, hold it in one hand and fold the piping bag down over your arm so you get nearly to the very bottom of it. So
okay.
You only want a tiny bit there, and you want a spatula or a spoon. So I will use the spoon I used earlier just to scrape the sides of the bowl. So literally just spoon it in and kind of use your hand and the corners of your thumb, kind of your fingers, to support what you're doing. Once you've filled that part of it, you can start folding it up. So just a little bit, and we're going to hold it again in the same kind of way and just fix the corners. So we can start filling it again.
Okay, so that's all been filled in now?
Yep, so the bag is full now, so I'm just turning up the corners here of the piping bag. Then what you want to do is kind of give it a little bit of a squeeze, the frosting, just to get any kind of big air bubbles out. And then use one hand to hold it and the other hand to kind of squeeze it all down into the bag. And then you want to make it secure by giving it a twist like this. So that's our piping bag all filled and ready to go. Yeah, I always say to people when you're learning when you're piping frosting onto cupcakes, you use your two hands. So use your dominant hand to hold the top of the piping bag, kind of like if you're holding a ball or something. And then use your non-dominant hand to support and give you the control. So I'm just going to do a simple swirl on them. So what you want to do is, the piping bag, you always hold up straight, you don't hold it at an angle. So
why?
It's just because there's the design in the piping tip, you want it to come out in a particular way.
Okay.
And if you hold it at an angle, it'll kind of scrape the frosting. So try to hold it up straight if you can. So to do this simple swirl, I'm going anti-clockwise. So I start in the middle and I'm just pulling the piping bag slowly around, and then I'm pulling up because the swirls go kind of on top of each other. And then when I get to the top, I just pull it away. So
that's beautiful.
That is the classic swirl.
So cool.
You cannot go wrong with the classic one.
It's like a 99 ice cream.
Yep. It just looks great.
That looks great. So I actually forgot to mention, this project has been in the pipeline for about 2 years.
Yeah.
I reached out to Becky in September of 2020, and what are we now? We're like coming up to like summertime of 2022.
Yeah.
And just life took over. We had like our friend Rona from the lab.
Oh.
And just life in general kind of took over.
In the way.
But yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
So 2 years in the making.
Woohoo.
Here we are. They look stunning. That is so cool.
Thank you.
Righty, what's next?
We got to put sprinkles on them.
Yes, sprinkle that up.
We have to put sprinkles on everything. So with sprinkles, when it's just on cupcakes like this, I usually literally just put a few into my hand and just use my fingers to sprinkle them on top. There's nothing fancy, but some of them will drop, but it's okay.
So, ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between, here we are. Look at this work of art right here. Absolutely stunning.
They are done.
They are. Right, guys, if you want to order these, I'm going to put a little scroller down here of where you can find Becky in Indigo's Vegan Bakery. Right, let's go outside, get some shots, shall we?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. So folks, as you can see, these came out absolutely amazing. It's time to do a taste test. So first of all, let's do the unraveling. I don't know if you can see it from there. So as you can see, they've come out absolutely perfect. As you can see.
Go for it.
It's smooth, it's got a real dairy type, like proper, like original kind of flavour, the cream.
Good, yeah.
Wicked. Wow.
Good?
Wow, yeah, really good.
The white chocolate is like...
It's oozing out.
Yes.
I need to put like some 80s saxophone music.
Yeah. Good.
The white chocolate. Banging.
Woo!
That's amazing. That is so good. Guys, make this. Seriously, make this. Becky, thank you. Thank you so.
No problem.
Can I give you a hug?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
You're a legend.
No
Seriously,
problem.
that's
No bother.
dude. These are so good. Thank you so much, guys. Check out Becky on the Instagram. I'm going to put a link there. Make sure you order these. Order these. Order a wedding cake if you're getting married, even if you're not. Just wedding cakes, 100% vegan. I'm going to show you now some pictures of other stuff that she does. And yeah, Becky, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you.
Thanks
You're
for coming
amazing.
over.
Thank you. No, really, thank you. This is so good. I'm taking some of these home. Well, now you know. Guys, ciao for now. Again, if you like vegan food, vegetarian, plant-based, there are no animals on the channel. So just, yeah, hit the like button, hit subscribe, leave a comment for Becky so she's gonna be checking out. And yeah, show some love. Love you all. Ciao for now. See you on the next one.